Topics: Shemitah, Yovel, Rabbi Ivri, interest, ribbis. I want to focus on today topic of ribbis. Personally, I think it's a very interesting topic. Got it? Thank you, Rabbi Miller. So the last pasuk discussing interest says, "As kasbecha lo sitin lo b'neshech v'marbis lo sitin ochlecha," which is basically the Torah's way of saying, don't take interest when you're loaning. The next pasuk says, "Ani Hashem Elokeichem asher hotzesi eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim losses lechem es eretz Canaan liyos lechem lelukim." Don't take interest because I am Hashem that took you out of Mitzrayim, be your God. The question is, it seems like a pasuk is justifying, explaining why not to take interest because it took you out of Mitzrayim. What does taking us out of Mitzrayim have to do with loaning for interest? Question? Yeah? Famous question in the parsha is, Ma'in in Shemitah Eitzel Har Sinai. That's the beginning of the parsha. What does Shemitah have to do with Har Sinai? I'm asking, Ma'in in Ribbis Eitzel Yitzis Mitzrayim. What does Ribbis have to do with Yitzis Mitzrayim? Ribbis, Egypt. I'm not seeing an obvious connection. After. And I think that really, if we get into this, we have to ask a much more basic question about Yetzias Mitzrayim. Because Yetzias Mitzrayim is funny in a sense, and I'll tell you why. We make such a big deal about Hashem taking us out of Mitzrayim, and we were slaves, and we're Mahalal to Hashem, the freedom that we got, especially on Leil Seder, Avadim Hayinu, the power of Mitzrayim. Such a big stress, and like full of appreciation. We're supposed to be bubbling over. Thank you, Hashem, for taking us out of Mitzrayim. And all four sons in the Pesach Haggadah should be asking the question, should be feeling the question of like, Hashem also put us in Mitzrayim. Right? That was Hashem's design. More so, it goes back to the Bris Bein HaMesarim. When Hashem spoke to Avraham Avinu, before Klal Yisrael did anything wrong, Avraham Avinu was told that Geri Yezarecha, Be'eretz Lo Lahem, that you guys are going to be serving, you guys are going to be serving another nation for 400 years. This is when it was just Avraham and Hashem. That was the whole Jewish people. Not even as a punishment. So we're busy being Mahal Hashem to take us out of Mitzrayim, and I think, this is how I feel, or felt, before clarity. Why are we making such a big deal out of the Yetzias Mitzrayim? We were only there because Hashem put us there. Almost like there's a saying in Hebrew, V'yachol, not to compare it at all to this case, but just to bring it out. Say, if you're talking to a bee, you say, Lo me'uktzech v'lo miduvshech, which means not from your sting and not from your honey. Like a bee comes with the sting and it comes with the honey. The honey's very sweet, the sting is very hard. We're almost feeling to Hashem like, why did you put us in Mitzrayim and put us through 400 years? And then take us out, and it was miraculous and amazing, but yeah? Good question? So the answer is that Hashem intentionally brought us to Mitzrayim. Obviously. There was an agenda to have us living in Mitzrayim to teach us two eternal lessons that are supposed to go into us by the time you see us in Mitzrayim and stay with us forever. What are those eternal lessons? Destiny and duty. Destiny and duty. Destiny. Destiny and duty. Destiny is Hashem put us in a place, in a state, in Egyptian culture where we were slaves to a people, to a kingdom that was not willing to change that. We were going to be slaves forever. This was a very strong kingdom, kept us very locked down, and that was the matzav. And it was built up for hundreds of years. And everybody knew that that was going to be forever. Like the Haggadah says, if Hashem didn't take us out, we'd still be there in Mitzrayim. We would have perished as slaves in Mitzrayim. And Hashem wanted us to be in that state, to rip us out miraculously with all of the makos and everything that happened, to tell us a message. Like Yaakov Shweki said, we are a miracle. We were born as a miracle, and forever we will be a miracle. And that's our destiny. And that's message number one that Klal Yisrael holds on to, forever. Our existence is a miracle. My personal opinion is that Discovery program, that's my biggest takeaway of the day always, is that Bnei Yisrael are a miracle. And the way we lasted and fell and got up and fell and got up. You just see Hashem, where his Am Segula, where his chosen nation, because we come from Avram Avinu, and Avram Avinu was told that your nation is going to know that there's something very, very special about them forever. They're a miracle. And that's why our whole birth had to come as a miracle. In fact, that's why Yitzchak Avinu, who was the first child ever born from Avram Avinu, ever born in Klal Yisrael, was also born in a miracle. His father was 99. Everyone was laughing. Why were they laughing? Because it was crazy. It's so miraculous. Oh my gosh, what's happening here? A miracle. And that's with us forever. People laugh. I think it's Pasha that this week, the helicopter crash makes you laugh. Like, there's one helicopter that goes down. It happens to be with the president of the nation who's like pointing his gun at us. That's a miracle. Thanks to Shmuel Vladimirsky is his name. I saw a picture today of the new president giving his inaugural speech with his zipper open. Hilarious. And also a miracle. Just Hashem's like playing with these people. You don't start with Am Segula. Their destiny. Additionally, there's a duty. That's the second message that's supposed to stay with us forever and ever. And that is that we were slaves in Mitzrayim. And we had no independence, and we had no choice. We had no free will. And Hashem wanting that there should be a nation that represents His word, that represents His Torah and His message for the whole world, it was extremely important that we feel that and we ease into that role in a very comfy way. And we had to feel that we were slaves and we had nothing going for us. And Hashem, in His chesed, ripped us out. And when a slave is redeemed by someone else, he goes from slavery to who he was serving, and he moves into serving the new Redeemer. And it's obviously very different when you're serving Paro and Mitzrayim, Hashem Yisbarach, and being the Am Segula and the Orla Amim. However, that was intentional. That was very necessary for us to recognize that we are a nation that is not like other nations. And it takes maybe hundreds of years of slavery to have that so deep in us that it stays with us forever. That we are very different, both Ben Adam L'Chavero, Ben Adam L'Makom, Ben Adam L'Atzmo, Ben Adam to everything. We are supposed to be living lives with Torah and mitzvahs, with positive commandments and negative commandments that create individuals and a nation that's Mekadesh Shem Shemayim and brings us out His glory in this world. And that, in Hashem's wisdom, He knew that that had to come from us being avadim. We were just some happy-go-lucky nation, and Hashem says, okay, now serve me. You're going to be the nation that takes on these 613. It wouldn't be smooth. But this was a comfortable, smooth transgression into who we were supposed to be and who we are, and that's supposed to be with us forever. And these are the two lessons that we focus on, and that's why Hashem put us in Mitzrayim. It took us out of Mitzrayim. When we're talking about Yetzias Mitzrayim, we're talking about destiny and duty. And we're different. It's hard to remember that we're different because we have eyes and noses and ears. We just look like every other human being. But we're very different. And we have a very different, and it took hundreds of years in Mitzrayim to tell us that. We have to remember that. That's upon us. Remember our destiny and our duty. Sometimes destiny reminds us of our duty. Maybe that's why some Jews are particular to dress a little different. To remind ourselves we're different because your nose and your ears aren't going to remind you. Maybe your nose. Thank you for the reminder, Oliver. Okay, so now back to ribbis. How does this help for ribbis? When a person has money and he's lending out money, you feel like I worked hard, I made this money, I got a lot of money, and you want to borrow it from me? You got to pay for that. That's a service. I got money, and you want it. Pay for it, like any other service. But Hashem wants to remind us that no, it's not your money. We have to understand where we come from. All of our money is borrowed from Hashem. We're slaves. We're supposed to be perished as slaves in Mitzrayim. The Jews are supposed to have a tombstone that says, here lies the Jewish people, died as slaves. Signed, Paro. This wasn't supposed to happen. Everything we have, even though all other nations, it's also true, everything they have is from Hashem. But us, much more, we need to know that everything is from Hashem and for Hashem. We walk around always knowing, more than other nations, even though it's true, but much more, everything is from Hashem and for Hashem. From Hashem, for Hashem. That's the formula. Everything's from Hashem, for Hashem. Hashem doesn't want us to feel all proud and possessive over the money that's borrowed money. You're lending borrowed money. You don't take interest when you're lending borrowed money that you borrowed from someone else. And that's the message. In Shulchan Aruch, there are 4 parts of Shulchan Aruch. The one that talks about money matters is called what? Choshen Mishpat. What's that? Choshen Mishpat. Okay, Ribbis, which is money matters, right, is not in Choshen Mishpat. It's in Yoreh De'ah, which talks about things like Bris Milah and Mezuzah and Kashrus and stuff like that, which is very telling, right? Because lending with interest, you're not doing anything wrong. You have the right. All things being equal, you have the right to lend with interest. There's nothing monetarily off about lending with interest. But Hashem wanted us, it's something more bein adam l'makom. He wants us to remember always, this is borrowed money. And therefore, when you lend to your brother, you don't take interest. And that's how the pasuk says, don't take interest. Ani Hashem Elokeichem asher hotzeitzis ischem me'eretz Mitzrayim. Yeah? Share a personal anecdote. That's this personal anecdote space. Personal anecdote from 3 weeks ago. I was asked, I was in my shul in Beitar, and they asked me to daven Kabbalah Shabbos. Yeah? I don't want to share this with you, but I think there's a powerful message to come out of it, so you got it. They asked me to daven Kabbalah Shabbos. Usually, at least 50% of the time, that's no. Because I don't like leading things like that. But duty. Can't say no every time. Destiny and duty. So I said yes. And I led Kabbalah Shabbos. And usually, after Kabbalah Shabbos, you get shkayachs, you know, shkayach. And this time, I got like a lot of shkayachs. I felt like a Gesher guy after Dvar Torah on a Friday night. Even more at Kiddush Levana. The guy standing there, I said Shalom Aleichem. He said Aleichem Shalom. You do, and once we were mid-conversation, he said, I want to tell you that your Lucha Dodi made my whole Shabbos. What do you do with a compliment like that? And he said, yeah. So what's pshat? What was the secret spice? I'll tell you the secret spice. That week, I went to a book sale, famous book sale in Mosad Harav Kook. I like to go to every year. They have their svarim on sale, and sometimes I buy things, sometimes I don't. Just being there, they have like shopping carts. People are making real purchases, ones that count, and I like the vibe. But I buy some books usually also, and this year I saw this book. It's called Ani Mamin, and it's they try to get as real documented testimonies of gvura, of courage in the Holocaust. And it's written usually by the actual characters themselves. It's beautiful. I saw it. I never read it. I flipped through it, and being that we were in Poland this year, I have more of an interest and leaning towards Holocaust inspiration. So I put it in the pile. And I was in Shul that Erev Shabbos, a little bit before Shabbos. I had the Sefer. I opened it up. I started reading the Shabbos stories. And beautiful, beautiful story. There is a young lady who just showed up to Birkenau. And she says, we just got to Birkenau, and I'm looking around the camp for familiar faces. I guess that's what you did. The only thing that would make you feel a little bit at home. Show up to Birkenau, and we're looking around for familiar faces. And she's giving the narrative. She says, we found some familiar faces. And right away we asked them. We said, you've been here? You know the secrets of the camp? We've got to get, it could be tiny, doesn't matter. This is our first time in the concentration camp. How do we get 2 Shabbos candles? 2 small Shabbos candles. I said, okay, we do know a little bit how this camp works. We'll do what we could. Lo and behold, that by Friday they had 2 little Shabbos candles. And this young lady writing the testimony says that they're in their, what's it called? Block. They're in their block. And just wooden slats as beds. Everything's dark. She said it was almost Shabbos. It was almost Shabbos, and there were about 10 or 12 girls with her on her bed, if you call it. It's pitch black, and she lit these 2 little Shabbos candles. They made a bracha. She writes beautifully, she says, we were blinded by the or of Shabbos. And they started singing quietly. Shabbos Nagunim. And after a few minutes, they heard crying from around the block in the little cabin, sobbing. And slowly girls were coming over and joining them, singing quietly Shabbos Nagunim. Some girls even came down to make a bracha on the candles. The way she describes it there is that right then they were just having Shabbos. Again, blinded by the Shabbos candles, nothing else was there. And she says for the rest of the time until she got liberated from the camp, sometimes they didn't have food, sometimes they didn't have what to drink, but every single Shabbos they made sure to get 2 little Shabbos candles, and they had this ceremonial little Kabbalah Shabbos. And Yontif. And I'm sitting there reading this. And the guy says, yeah, you want to daven Kabbalah Shabbos? Okay. And I daven Kabbalah Shabbos. And for me, I was, half in Beitar, and half of my head was in Birkenau. Not in a bad way. My mindset was over there in Birkenau, and I was feeling so lucky that I'm closing my eyes thinking about these young ladies feeling, light by being able to sing Kabbalah Shabbos in the top bunk, huddled over with a bunch of girls, and I'm standing there doing Kabbalah Shabbos in air-conditioned base medrash. The Rav's about to speak. My friends are there. I'm going home making kiddush with the kinderlach, with 9 Kanai candles, big ones, good food. And if she feels lucky, I'm a billionaire. Crazy. And I felt, that was the best Shabbos of my life. I felt so connected to the Knesset, bringing in the Shabbos. And it wasn't weird. I wasn't like yelling, but I guess there was something that came out in the Kabbalah Shabbos. That's Shat Nishkayachs. It got me thinking that imagine I was able, to tell that young lady, whisper in her ear, tell her that, she'll have the chance one day. I'll give her a sitter, bound, beautiful, clean sitter. I'll put her in a base medrash, Yerushalayim Yer Kodesh, with a minyan, a chazan. She'll be able to, not like 4:30 in the morning, like 7:40 in the morning. She can take her time. Nobody's going to be looking at her. Nobody's going to be yelling at her. Just daven shachris. AC. What would she say? She'd probably say like, no, that's never going to happen to the Jewish people ever again. With confidence. But we have that. We're in Yerushalayim. We have AC. We have a minyan. We have a chazan. We have sidurim. Nobody's yelling at us. Nobody's watching us. There are 21 guys on the Shachris attendance list in May. In ER. Crazy. If you ask me, that's crazy. Say it like it is. I think the word failure is when you try something and you fail. 21 guys are showing up to Shachris in Yerushalayim. You guys are yeshiva guys. I'm sure a lot of the guys who need to hear this aren't here. 21 guys are showing up to Shachris in May. That's not. I don't even think the word failure belongs in Yiddishkeit, because if you're trying, then it's a success. And if you're not trying, you're not trying, so you don't fail. It's totally out of reality. You're not here. Where are you? The opportunities that we have. We should be going into the yeshiva right now, grab a sitter, and go give it a big kiss. And then kiss the Sefer Torah. And it gives your tzitzis a big kiss. But the idea of duty, being connected to our people, to what's happening, to Hashem, to our mitzvahs, is obviously like way, way off of our radar. 21 guys in May. There are 80 guys in this yeshiva. Who's good at math? There's a lot of guys not here. Davening doesn't talk to me. Yeah, davening doesn't talk. You talk. It's not going to talk to you. You got to show up and start doing it. It's really late in the year. This is like alarming, red flag, whatever words you want to use. And obviously, other stuff that we're doing affects. The Gemara says, if you meet the Yetzer Hara in the shuk, schlep into the base medrash. Because you come to the base medrash, after you just bumped it, you pogea, you like bump into the Yetzer Hara in the shuk. So schlep into the base medrash, and you get all inspired from the Torah and from all the Yirah Shemayim that what you saw out there is not going to affect you anymore. I think some of the guys here read the Gemara the opposite. If you meet the Yetzer Tov in the Beis Medrash, slap him to the shuk. If you're hanging out in the shuk late at night, and everyone here knows what that looks like, obviously, Davi's not going to talk to me. Rabbi, Gemara doesn't talk to me. I promise you, Gemara is not going to talk to you. If you're not living as a Jew, if you're not living with your eye on the ball, living our destiny and our duty, if you're not thinking about the 6 million people that died in the Holocaust, wishing that they would have an opportunity to spend a year in yeshiva, and you're in the shuk at night or chilling on the roof and sleeping through Shacharis, I promise you, nothing will ever talk to you. Nothing about our religion will talk to you. It's not possible. It's not. You're not creating the material to be spoken to. But we have a program that offers an unbelievable amount of Torah and Yiras Shamayim and inspiration and Kedusha and Tefillah and Aliyah and Achdus. And 21 guys are at Shacharis this morning. That's nuts. That's not a fluke. I got to attend these yesterday also. It looked the same. There's not one guy, I'm not feeling well. 59 guys in bed. So enough of that. Hashem, I have 3 weeks left. Personally, I think 3 weeks is a ton of time. Otherwise, I wouldn't be saying this. A long time. Those of you who will be out next year, Be'ez Hashem, come back in winter break for 3 weeks, and you'll see what 3 weeks is. 3 weeks could feel like a whole yeshiva year. I've definitely seen breakthroughs in 3 days. So 3 weeks is huge. We're mamish not at the end of the year. We're late in the year. We're not even close to the end. And the next 3 weeks could be and should be a life-changing experience for all of us. And we should be committing to soak up and not like just fade away in the end of the year and let go, but exact opposite. And commit and show up and be here fully in, burn out. Where's it going to go? You'll burn out. Okay, and you go home. Do everything. Do everything that you could. And we can end up this year with 80 guys at Shachos, Be'ez Hashem, fully inspired to a life of Torah and mitzvahs and yira and kedusha, live the destiny and duty of our people, live on the legacy of all of the doros and generations of Bnei Yisrael that suffered and didn't have anything close to the opportunity that we have today. Amen, amen.